Let's do this. Hello, people. Good mornings. Another beautiful day. Yeah. Hope your five senses work. Health and strength is good. What? What's up, gamers? Here we go again. another chapter in the Activision Blizzard deal case. Listen to this. But this time it's with the FTC. And by the way, the Federal Trade Commission are Sony fanboys. But anyway, listen to this. FTC gets called out during hearing for supporting Sony over Activision deal. FTC gets called out during hearing for supporting Sony over Activision deal. What's up, Tech for Gamers? Listen to this. Says here, the Activision Blizzard acquisition has been subject of stiff resistance from multiple regulators and gaming giants since the initial announcement in early 2022. Sony, in particular, has been entirely against the deal of Microsoft owning IP like Call of Duty. Regulators like the CMA and the FTC were also not fond of the idea, while the CMA appeared to be relaxing concerns about the merger. The latter has been Microsoft's most significant hurdle towards getting the deal approved. Regarding the opposition from the FTC, a representative from Tennessee addressed the situation during a recent hearing. She asked Lena Khan, the FTC chairwoman, why the regulators decide to side with Sony on the deal. Then it says here on Twitter, says with all the FTC's news today, I am surprised I hadn't seen anyone share that the rep from Tennessee asked Khan directly about why they were siding with Sony as opposing to Microsoft in the Xbox versus PlayStation case. Anyway, back to the article. It says here, Miss Harsh Barger from Tennessee elaborate that competition law should not favor the dominant player. She then quote that Sony has 68% of the global share for high-end gaming console. 68%. Says here, this put Microsoft at a clear disadvantage against Sony, making it odd that the FTC has been so vocal against the deal. Previously, the regulators sued Microsoft over the deal, to which the gaming giant responded confidently, standing ready to appear in court. Addressing concerns over the FTC, Microsoft has also called the regulators' approach to the Activision Blizzard acquisition unconstitutional, citing various violations under the Fifth Amendment, meaning that they didn't get their due process. Says here, however, the FTC remains confident in its approach. Responding to the question, Lena Khan had this to say: We always really benefit from hearing market participants, including big players. Nonsense. Anyway, says here, as mentioned earlier, other regulators have been against Microsoft's deal, with authorities like the CMA and the European Commission opposing the deal until recently. The FTC is far from the only regulators to stand against Microsoft. The popularity of Call of Duty and decades of influence over gaming industry have made it an undeniable powerhouse in the market, meaning that they were consistent with Call of Duty, Activision. But anyway, says here, therefore, many authorities have rigorously ensured the deal does not harm the competition and consumers. Lena Khan further said, at the end of the day, we always make our own independent judgment based on the law and the facts. Now, Lena Khan is a PlayStation fangirl. She's not fooling me or anybody. Real gamers, that is. But anyway, says here, this should mean that the regulators is looking at both sides of the argument to reach a fair conclusion that benefits the consumer instead of catering to either gaming giants. Then it says, Microsoft was previously hoping to close the Activision Blizzard acquisition by June 2023. However, The FTC will not announce its final decision before August, which could lead to a change of plans for Activision and Microsoft. The FTC recently requested more documents on Microsoft's agreement with Nintendo and Nvidia. It means that they don't have a case and they're trying to build one. Anyway, says here, while this might delay the eventual outcome further, the regulators will examine the evidence thoroughly before announcing a final decision. And anything else? That's it. That's the end of the article. Look, the FTC did not give Microsoft their due process. They rushed to judgment, and they were relying on past history. Then on top of that, they're asking Microsoft for documents. Microsoft already gave them documents already, but they're asking for more so they can build a case, which means they don't even have one. When the whole thing started, look, once Facebook name came up in the whole situation, I personally knew right then and there that Activision Blizzard was up for grabs. But even before that, when Microsoft got Game Pass up and running with the aid of ZeniMax Bethesda, Phil Spencer made a comment. He said, Sony and Nintendo is not our competitors. What that statement means is this. Phil Spencer looked down that road and saw who the competitors were, meaning Google, meaning Amazon, meaning Nvidia, meaning Valve, meaning Tencent, everybody, right? So when Activision Blizzard now pop up on their radar, like Phil Spencer said, is now what they can do for us. It's how can we help you. So when Activision Blizzard's going through their turmoil, Sony got the Call of Duty contract. Nintendo is $1 billion company, so is Sony. And Sony and Nintendo should have been the first looking at asking Activision Blizzard question like, can we help you? Is there anything we can do? Anything we can aid you with? They did nothing. Sony only cared about the Call of Duty contract, but they don't own Activision Blizzard. And once Microsoft saw that, and they realized that nobody owns Activision Blizzard, and Sony, with the Call of Duty contract is about to expire, they swooped in. So Activision Blizzard was really up for grabs. Okay, the FTC didn't give Microsoft their due process. They rushed to judgment, and they were showing favoritism to Sony. Okay, that's what they were really doing. But now they're being called out for it. And what they say here, what she say? At the end of the day, we always make our own independent judgment based on the law and facts. The law and facts. They were siding with Sony. Okay? But now Microsoft is not alone in this, because they have a support system too. They got the shareholders, that's 98%. The employees, that's 2. 75% of the public. At first it was just Serbia, Saudi Arabia, Chile, and Brazil, right? Those are countries, those are governments, and they got their own pull and say so in the matter. But now Japan joined in, the Ukraine, and now South Africa. So the Microsoft is not alone in this. And like I told you guys before, this is an endurance game. So Microsoft got to see this all the way through. But at the same time, the Ukraine and the CMA and the United Kingdom, you know, they said they didn't find anything wrong with the deal. So things are from the UK side, things are looking good on Microsoft. It's just they got to deal with the FTC now. So the CMA is like, okay, we know you got this deal. Okay, fine. We don't think the deal is going to harm the industry. Okay, show us something. 10 years, 10 years Nintendo, 10 years Nvidia, 10 years Boosteroid, 10 years let's see, Nintendo, Nvidia, Boosteroid, Ubitus, and the EE. 10 years. So, you know, Microsoft, Microsoft is trying to work with everybody, but at the same time, Sony had a chance to work with Microsoft and they refused it. Their main goal now is to block the deal. So, like Microsoft said, they got to come up with their own Call of Duty. But now it begs a question. Now, okay, Sony, what happened? What really happened to your shooters, like Killzone? Killzone, SOCOM, and Resistance. What happened to those shooters? Just saying. So, Sony, Microsoft right now, they have support on their side, and the FTC, they rushed to judgment on this, and they were relying on past history, but now they want Microsoft to turn paperwork in. They're saying, oh, you're not being transparent. That means they need more information to build their case. So, the FTC was showing Sony favoritism in this whole situation, but now they're being called out for it. So, Microsoft right now, on the other hand, they have to see this through. Activision Blizzard was really up for grabs when it's all said and done. They were really up for grabs because once Facebook came into the equation, that lets you know right then and there that they were really up for grabs. Phil Spencer will go back to the heads of Microsoft and be like, look, hey, we need to jump on this. What y'all think? Should we purchase Activision Blizzard? Should we help them? What y'all think? As that Microsoft looking at each other like, okay, should we care? Should we show them love, sympathy? Should we show them compassion? What should we do? Okay, go. Take $68.9 billion with you. Done. The deal is done. But it's just the FTC now. They're showing their true colors of who they really are. They were siding with Sony when this whole thing started, and they were relying on past history to try to stop Microsoft from purchasing Activision Blizzard. But now Microsoft is fighting back and saying, okay, well, you didn't give us our due process. And then the shareholders at Activision, they're ready to fight the FTC head up. So this is going to be a test of endurance. Every day that goes by, every week that goes by, it's going to be a test of endurance. So now it's going to come down to now who's going to turn the white flag in first. That's what this is going to come down to. The FTC, they were showing Sony favoritism and all this, man. Sony has 68%, about 68, I think it's 68 to 69% of the market. That's an unfair advantage. And then on top of that, you're sitting there blocking games from coming to Xbox. Yeah. So this case is gonna as days goes on, weeks goes on. It's taking its toll on everybody that's involved in this. But at the end of the day, Microsoft has to see this through. And the FTC can't just show favoritism in this whole. They got to be fair. They got to be fair and honest. They're talking about their decision is based on law and facts. What law and facts? The facts is that you rushed to judgment. You didn't give Microsoft a fair fair what's that word I'm looking for? Like a fair say in the situation. You just rushed to judgment. But those countries that are involved now, they're gonna voice their concerns too. And against the FTC, they're gonna voice their concern against the FTC. meaning South Africa, meaning Japan, meaning the Ukraine, meaning Saudi Arabia, meaning Serbia, meaning Chile, meaning Brazil. Those countries are gonna voice their opinions. They're not just gonna sit on the side and just be like not saying anything. They're gonna voice their concerns in this whole situation. So as days goes on, man, it's gonna get interesting because if Japan is the home of Sony's is the home of PlayStation, and you got Japan supporting Microsoft in this. Look, in Japan, PlayStation dominates Microsoft 96-4. But then you got the country of Japan supporting Xbox. So in this court case, Japan is more of a RPG type market, if you get the point. But they're supporting Xbox. So these countries that are siding with Xbox and with this, they're going to show their concern. Take Two and Valve are spectators. Tencent and Nvidia supports Microsoft. So those countries are going to play a key role in this. You know, a key role in this. They're going to voice their opinions. So the FTC bit off more than they can chew. So these countries are going to speak their mind, against the FTC. So as days goes by, man, this case will get interesting. will get even more interesting. So yeah. But at the end of the day, man, Microsoft beat everybody to the punch with this. Beat everybody. Sony, you got the contract. You should have been the first one over there. Nintendo, the same thing. They didn't care. So Phil Spencer's like, okay, we're gonna make you care. And we're talking Activision Blizzard. Activision Blizzard. You have that created what? StarCraft, World of Warcraft, and of course Call of Duty. If you're a console manufacturer, you're supposed to show love and compassion, man, to the studios that's making games for your console. You don't just sit if they got a problem. You don't just sit there as a console manufacturer and say, "No, that's none of our business." No, you're supposed to be communicating with them and trying to find out, okay, what can you do to help them? Sony and Nintendo did nothing, so Microsoft stepped in and did what they supposed to do. Instead of making the Activision situation when they were going through their problems, making the situation a public spectacle, to where every day you wake up, you hear people talking about what's going on at Activision. Microsoft purchased them just to, purchase them so whatever problem that they're dealing with, it don't get spread out all over the place. They try to solve the problem right then and there, and that's what they did, So they were right for doing this, But the FTC now was was showing favoritism in this from day one when they rushed to judgment. So they're gonna have to explain themselves in court. They're gonna have to explain themselves in court. And even the judge that's sitting in on this case, he's asking Sony questions like, why didn't you? I'm sure that he's gonna ask them this question like, okay, when this whole situation started, why didn't you go over there? Why didn't you call them? Why did you check on them? Aren't they a part of the game industry? Don't you need them to make games for you? The judge is gonna ask Sony some serious questions. So yeah, as days goes by, man, this case is gonna get very interesting, man. So yeah, but Microsoft, they have to see this through. They made it this far with this case. They have to see this through. They have to. So yeah. But man, Activision Blizzard was really up for they were really up for grabs. They were really up for grabs. You know, once Facebook name got mentioned in that situation, I was like, okay, you are up for grabs. You know, because Facebook carried their own weight. Facebook carried their own weight. You know, Facebook is like like a three-headed monster. I think they own Snapchat, Instagram, and of course there's Facebook. So yeah, so Facebook it's a multi-billion-dollar company. Once Facebook's got mentioned in the Activision situation, man, it became evident that they were up for grabs. So Microsoft did right, man. It's just, you know, Sony didn't. To me, Sony didn't react early enough. You know, they didn't think it was they probably didn't think it was that serious. But not Microsoft. Once it pops up, Microsoft is on it. I mean, of course, there were other deals before that, but this is Activision Blizzard we're talking about, man. You know, so yeah. You know, the CMA don't think anything's gonna happen with the deal, so don't think that anything's gonna happen right now. You know, they're more concerned about cloud gaming, and we shall see what happens from there. You know, but right now, the FTC, you know, they rushed to judgment, and they're gonna have to explain themselves. You know, they gotta have to explain themselves, because by the looks of the whole situation, it looked like they were showing favoritism to Sony from the jump. You know, they were showing Sony favoritism, but they have some explanation to do in front of a judge. A judge ain't gonna go for no bribes. You gotta explain this. You know, so yeah. But those countries that support Microsoft in this, they will be voicing their concerns as this process, as this case goes on. Anyway, latest video for y'all to enjoy. Nice talking to you people again. Chris, still a Star Wars and Star Trek fan. Peace.